national minority, and as Northern white nation workers whose class interest is in integrated socialism in the North. The consistent version of this line actually calls for integrated organizing of black and white workers in the North along what it calls class lines. This position is wrong. In reality, the black colony does not exist simply as the Black Belt nation, but exists in the country as a whole. The common oppression of black people and the common culture growing out of that history are not based historically or currently on their relation to the territory of the Black Belt, even though that has been a place of population concentration and has some very different characteristics than the North, particularly around the land question. Rather, the common features of oppression, history, and culture which unify black people as a colony, although originating historically in a common territory apart from the colonizers, etc., Africa, not the South, have been based historically on their common position as slaves, which since the nominal abolition of slavery has taken the form of caste oppression, and oppression of black people as a people everywhere that they exist. A new black nation, different from the nations of Africa from which it came, has been forged by the common historical experience of important and slavery and caste oppression. To claim that to be a nation it must be of necessity now be based on a common national territory apart from the colonizing nation is a mechanical application of criteria which were and are applicable to different situations. What is specifically meant by the term caste is that all black people, on the basis of their common slave history, common culture, and skin color, are systematically denied access to particular job categories or positions within job categories, social position, etc., regardless of individual skills, talents, money, or education. Within the working class, they are the most oppressed section. In the petite bourgeoisie, they are even more strictly confined to the lowest levels. Token exceptions aside, the specific content of this caste oppression is to maintain black people in the most exploitative and oppressive jobs and conditions. Therefore, since the lowest class is the working class, the black caste is almost entirely a caste of the working class, or holds positions as oppressed as the lower working class positions, poor black petite bourgeoisie, and farmers. It is a colonial labor caste, a colony whose common national character itself is defined by their common class position. Thus, Northern blacks do not have a dual interest as blacks on the one hand and U.S. nation workers on the other. They have a single class interest, along with all other black people in the U.S., as members of the black proletarian colony. 3. The struggle for socialist self-determination. The struggle of black people as a colony is for self-determination, freedom, and liberation from U.S. imperialism. Because blacks have been oppressed and held in an inferior social position as a people, they have a right to decide, organize, and act on their common destiny as a people apart from white interference. Black self-determination does not simply apply to determination of their collective political destiny at some future time. It is directly tied to the fact that because all blacks experience oppression in a form that no whites do, no whites are in a position to fully understand and test from their own practice the real situation black people face and the necessary response to it. This is why it is necessary for black people to organize separately and determine their actions separately at each stage of the struggle. It is important to understand the implications of this. It is not legitimate for whites to organizationally intervene in differences among revolutionary black nationalists. It would be arrogant for us to attack any black organization that defends black people and opposes imperialism in practice. But it is necessary to develop a correct understanding of the black liberation struggle within our own organization, where an incorrect one will further racist practice in our relations with the black movement. In the history of some external colonies, such as China and Vietnam, the struggle for self-determination has had two stages. One, a united front against imperialism and for new democracy, which is a joint dictatorship, of anti-colonial classes led by the proletariat, the content of which is a compromise between the interests of the proletariat, the nationalist peasants, petite bourgeoisie, and national bourgeoisie. And two, developing out of the new democratic stage, socialism. However, the black liberation struggle in this country will have only one stage. The struggle for self-determination will embody within it the struggle for socialism. As Huey P. Newton has said, in order to be a revolutionary nationalist, you would of necessity have to be a socialist. This is because, given the caste quality of oppression as a people through a common degree of exploitation, self-determination requires being free from white capitalist exploitation in the form of inferior, lower caste jobs, housing, schools, hospitals, prices. In addition, only what was on or became in practice a socialist program for self-determination, one which addressed itself to reversing this exploitation, could win the necessary active mass support in the proletarian colony. The program of a united front for new democracy, on the other hand, would not be as thorough, and so would not win as active and determined support from the black masses. The only reason for having such a front would be where the independent petite bourgeoisie forces which it would bring in would add enough strength to balance the weakening of proletarian backing. This is not the case. First, because much of the black petite bourgeoisie is actually a comprador. Petite bourgeoisie, like so-called black capitalists, who are promoted by power structure to seem independent but are really agents of white monopoly capital, who would never fight as a class for any real self-determination. And secondly, because many black petite bourgeoisie, perhaps most, while not having a class interest in socialist self-determination, are close enough to the black masses in the oppression and limitations on their conditions that they will support many kinds of self-determination issues, and, especially when the movement is winning, can be won to support full socialist self-determination. For the black movement to work to maximize this support from the petite bourgeoisie is correct, but it is in no way united front where it is clear that the black liberation movement should not and does not modify